next speaker is coming from Finland. She is president of LUCIA, and she's going to make very interesting presentation, and please enjoy it and see you.
Yes. Hello, Meri Lumela. We are glad to have you here. The floor is yours. Thanks.
Thank you, and good morning from Jyväskylä. Dear ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to start with you this morning the final conference of the LUCIA Lighting the Baltic Sea Vision project. I would like to thank and congratulate the organizers from Tallinn and all the other partners of the project for their contribution to this very rich program. Specifically, I would like to thank Mr. Thomas Jacob for his very interesting presentation and his words to introduce and explain the LUCIA project. It is fantastic to see how Hamburg has really taken this important question of city lighting at heart and brought it to such a good cooperation level. Yes, indeed, the success of this cooperation project is a testimony to the vitality of our region, and it can be regarded as an inspiration for the other regions in Europe, but also for the future projects that will come to be. I am Meri Lumela, Deputy Chair of the City Council of Jyväskylä, and as you already heard, I talk to you as the President of LUCIA today. And LUCIA is the international network of cities on urban lighting, gathering 70 cities worldwide. And I'm glad to be with you this morning, even if this conference is taking place online. But I also hope that we will soon meet in person. Ladies and gentlemen, cities today, we are facing a few pressing challenges that are relevant in the lighting context. And I want to start with those challenges. Can I have the next slide, please? Of course, the most indisputably pressing issue is the climate crisis. Lighting accounts for an important % of global CO2 emissions each year. And if we want to reach the worldwide goals of limiting carbon emissions, and especially following international agreements, it means that cities need to reduce their energy consumption and they need to do it fast. Municipalities are identifying ways to increase their energy efficiency, and lighting is one of them with very high potential energy saving. Can I have the next slide, please? Another challenge when you look at things in global scale, most of the world's population is living in cities, so urbanization is a major challenge. There is already 50%, around 4 billion of us, living in cities, and the United Nations has projected that over 68% of the world's population will be living in cities by 2050. Cities have to cope with the various aspects of life in the city, and lighting is one of the essential services. And you have to provide lighting infrastructure to more and more people, spreading or densifying further and further. And thus, this brings out a number of associated challenges. Can I have the next slide? One of the other challenges for cities is to be dynamic and vibrant to attract tourists, investors, and for the residents. Cities need to stand out from the rest and find new ways to build identity and create prosperity. Respectfully lighting heritage sites, lighting major landmarks, investing significantly on pedestrian and cycle infrastructure, for example, along riversides by creating sustainable light paths or beautiful light festivals, etc., are quite an effective ways of doing that. Next. Another main issue and challenge for cities today is to take into account all the aspects of digitalization. There is an acceleration of available new technologies, essentially linking the lighting into the internet via a large number of sensors in all shapes and sizes. This brings new capacities for adaptability and better management of the lighting infrastructure. And we have to find ways to use the opportunities created by this digitalization of lighting to increase our environmental and social sustainability. And next. These challenges, climate crisis, sprawling urbanization, rapid digitalization, they are overarching challenges for our cities. And we in LUCI also see some specific challenges linked to the nightlife. Night as a time and space needs to be better considered in cities. Especially at night, there are big challenges around safety and security and the competing uses of public spaces between those who wish to sleep or work or play. This competition is not only between humans, but also with nature. And a lot of the flora and fauna is active at night. So this needs to be factored in if we want to balance human and natural needs in cities. And this translates into lighting challenges, how we use light for a multiplicity of usages for safety, beauty, mobility, while always trying to eradicate light pollution. Have the next slide, please. And what we are seeing in LUCI as a network of cities is that sustainable urban lighting can be used as a tool for economic, cultural, and environmental development of cities. And this is basically what we have learned for the past 20 years. But where are we going from there? And where will city lighting strategies take us into some of the questions for urban lighting today? The first question is how to bring about a mind shift as we think about urban lighting of the future to go beyond the pure functional. And of course, we are not denying that lighting is a functional element. It is essential for visibility and security, for energy and cost savings, for better management and control with added smartness. But lighting is also more and more recognized as benefiting the emotional part of the city. Its identity, beauty, and poetry of a city, and it can enable deeper, richer conversations about how we designed our urban fabric at night. Next, please. There is a question is, how can cities take advantage of rapidly changing technologies without letting technology determine their more long-term lighting vision? Smart components of lighting need to be integrated in the strategic documents, in lighting master plans, and that have to be future-proof. For that, we need to force better alliances between art and science and between engineer and the designer. In that alliance is key to a better balance. Next. Another fundamental question is about engaging with citizens. Some cities point out how it is really hard to engage with citizens on urban lighting and go further than the need for more light and need for less light questions. Indeed, there is some technical aspect to lighting, and it is not easy to speak the same language. This can be addressed in the long term, and it requires strong commitment. At LUCI, we see a few examples where cities are reaching out to citizens, to the community, and building a dialogue. Next. And this leads me to the next question. Several cities suggest that a key to develop a better dialogue will be to raise awareness about the way the city is lit at night. To better explain the value, the quality of light, and the identity of the city at night, this should be targeted to all the producers of light in the city, not only towards citizens, but also commercial developments, building owners, etc. The aim is to grow a real local culture of light, because working together with the community, building public-private partnerships, they also can improve urban lighting. And next, please. In the end, the urban lighting policy is the city of the city is the result of a series of compromises at balancing act. And as decision makers, we need to find a complicated balance between responding to security goals and lighting norms, adding light to highlight identity and culture, versus eradicating light pollution and remaining on track for energy efficiency and sustainability goals. And also, not easy balance between the many sources of light, private as well as public, in the urban space. How can cities coordinate the many layers of light, private and public, that make up the nightscape? So these are some of the challenges and questions that we face as cities, but what can we do about this collectively? This is where I go to the last part of our speech. Next slide, please. We see from many cities across the world a great push to work on urban lighting issues. However, we also know that cities can't do it by themselves. They need to bring together partners and experts and work together in cooperation to be able to keep track of innovation, analyze trends, and benchmark their practices, meet their peers, and improve their service delivery to citizens in the long run. Next, please. Indeed, in networks like LUCIA, cities are really helping cities. Next, please. And it is a collective learning process, and it is fantastic to do things together. And I think when you look at those smiling faces, you can really prove it. It's incredible to see how people learn and are inspired by each other. And next, please. It all started in 2002 in Lyon, where a group of pioneers had the vision that light would be a very important issue. As in other European cities, they had started to experiment in Lyon with a lighting master plan and a light festival, and everyone wanted to come to see what was happening. So 20 years ago, a group of 15 cities was formed to collaborate in a non-profit organization, and very quickly the numbers grew. Today, LUCIA is a network strong for 70 cities, and this covers over 100 million inhabitants. And we have one specificity. We also have more than 50 fantastic associated members, and total 120 members from every corner of the world. Next slide, please. And here's the list of our member cities. Some cities are elected to the LUCIA Executive Committee, and they take part in the strategic governance of our organization. Next. And here you can see the associated members of LUCIA: utilities, lighting manufacturers, research institutions, other networks, and all the lighting design studios, light festival organizers, etc. And there is a really incredible diversity. Next slide, please. And what do we do in LUCIA? LUCIA is certainly a meeting place for cities. Our international conferences, capacity building workshops, field visits and networking events bring together city lighting policymakers, professionals and experts to exchange experience and share user feedback and information. And our next major gathering takes place in Tartu, Estonia, at the end of October. And you can register on the LUCIA website. It will be a hybrid event, and everyone is welcome to take part in person or online. Next. LUCIA is also a resource center on urban lighting. Our publications and online resources and tools share collective intelligence on urban lighting, highlighting innovative projects, best practices and new trends to help urban policymakers and practitioners develop effective lighting strategies. And next. And LUCIA also helps cities take action. By piloting cooperation projects and research initiatives that explore the new facets and potential of light, we help cities progress together towards a more sustainable use of light for citizen-focused urban spaces. Next. And LUCIA is the voice of cities on urban lighting. By creating spaces for cities to express their views and by putting forward these views through advocacy documents such as the Charter of Urban Lighting, LUCIA is the voice of cities on urban lighting at the global level. The LUCIA Charter is an international recognized document that LUCIA has been promoting since 2010, and it has been signed by over 60 mayors worldwide. It promotes cultures of sustainability on urban lighting with common guidelines and inspiration. Next. In the end, LUCIA is really a platform for city executives and technicians, from elected officials to lighting designers, engineers, industrial stakeholders on urban lighting. It might be a place for you. LUCIA is where cities can find inspiring ideas, concrete information, latest trends in lighting. And we are a network, a community where people interested in city lighting meet, learn, act and speak together. Next year, LUCIA will be 20 years young. A great year to celebrate, a fantastic journey, and to think together on the future and urban lighting. We hope that you can join us along the way. Next slide, please. And I would like to make an announcement here and invite all of you to Jyväskylä, as we will have the honor to receive the first gathering to connect cities with light in the first days of March 2022. Note it in your agendas and look out for more information. And I hope we have the pleasure to see you all face to face in Jyväskylä. And the last slide, please. Thank you so much for your attention, and it's been great to be with you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with the LUCIA team. Thank you.
Thank you, Meri. Do you have questions to Meri?
Or from the audience behind the computers, please ask questions. We will check the questions here, but Meri, thank you so much that you touched very important aspects of public lighting. For example, you said it will be an emotional part of the city, or it is a very important emotional part. So what we also heard from Thomas before, that cities are really trying to make the city for people and not anymore for cars. This is one aspect. But then my question to you would also be, if we want to touch the emotional part, which is important, and also to meet people, do you think that we need to build a stronger dialogue between city administration and certain groups, if we also think in terms of diversity, if we think in terms of gender aspects? Do you think how, as planners, lighting planners, how can we touch these groups to participate more in future times and also to enjoy? Because I remember also from Gothenburg, for example, that they did this wonderful project of the time tunnel in order to integrate certain groups of the city. Do you have some ideas about this?
Thank you for the question. I think the main point is to gather all the people interested in those things together. And also, I think what we're doing here in Jyväskylä through different events and through, of course, how do we build a city, is that we always hear what the citizens want to say and how they feel about different things. And I think how we make city attractive and also how we take care of the security. There are many different aspects, but I think when you have people together, you find the answer from there.
Okay. Thank you so much. Maybe are we allowed to have one more question?
Yes, please.
Okay, so another thing would be, you mentioned also that public lighting or the development of our cities in terms of public lighting is also a kind of competition under cities. Do you think that within this competition that some cities will lag behind because technology is missing, knowledge is missing? And do you think that we increase the gaps under cities, or do you think it is a positive development if people get the aspect of the importance of public lighting and the meaning for it?
What I think the competition is good when you do it in a good way, and I think it might happen. I think it's a real threat that some cities just are left behind, and I know there's a lack of technologies, and I guess it's also about the resources you can put into to the lighting in this case, but. I think networks like LUCIA or any other networks which gather many different kind of people and different kind of organizers and organizations together can be an answer to this as well.